Hello, everybody. Welcome back to... I'm so used to saying James Lawrence Allcott channel. To Jaffin! James and Flav for now. It is back. Flav's back on the channel. My CPM will drop considerably. I was thinking, is there any way, just to put it out there, any chance we could sort of have like a code for the swear words you'd like to say? Just because, like, things are going well, you know?
Yeah. What do you mean? Don't swear. Do you want me to rein it in? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want you to. I want you to be able to express yourself, but I like the sweet coin. That's
okay,
the problem.
Jim. I just got something to say. Have you ever thought about people that end up in hospital after they've inserted something into their bum?
Yeah. See, bum's fine. Go on.
Okay. So.
What? Wait. Before you get into the story, and I'll let you tell this story. I've got a lot of new people who are going to be watching this podcast for the first time. I need to give you some kind of backstory on this because you're going to go, what am I watching right now? And for the rest of the season, you'll probably have the same feeling. Now, Flav, if you haven't met Flav, if you're a new subscriber, Flav is one of my favourite people in the world. And we like to talk, okay? So we've been doing that. This is season 3 of the James and Flav for Now podcast, otherwise known as Jaffin. But within that, you guys are used to me going, expected goals, key passes per 90. Yeah, you won't get that on this, okay? But if you stick with it, you may well enjoy it. So give it a chance. Give it 2 podcasts at least. Imagine it's an album. And if you hate it by that point, feel free to go. But give it a chance. I just wanted to get that out there.
If this becomes a problem for you, we can just put it on a new channel.
Never.
Well, don't say that because...
Or maybe on a new channel, maybe that. I mean, let's see how much it plummets. Anyway, you were talking about things up your bum.
Well, no, it's not... I was thinking, was having a cigarette before starting this, and I was thinking, like, what must it be like? For, there's people that end up in A&E, and they've just, they put something in their bum and they can't get it out, right?
Sure.
The process from first putting it in the bum to ending up in hospital, what must that period be like? Because at the beginning they're having fun, right? They're doing something they want to do.
Sure.
And then there must be a time period to ending up in A&E. What was going through their head? It'd be
a lot of shame, I presume.
Processing grief, innit? It's like shock.
Yeah. It's a different kind of grief, isn't it? That's what I like about that, actually. Because it's like, no one's passed away. I mean, you have lost something, but not, you know where it is, at least. Which is different as well. Because there's that feeling, when you like lose something and you go, oh no, like boom, you're upset. Whereas this, like, you know exactly where it is. So it's just, it's processing next steps.
First, it's like enjoyment. Then it's, it's concern.
Sure.
Then it's shock. And eventually...
So in the moment or over that 2-hour, 3-hour period?
I reckon 2 to 3 hours is a good barometer of the time it would take you from first doing that to ending up in casualty.
Because I wonder if even in the moment itself, it's the same thing. Go through those emotions again for me.
Well, it's I guess it's intrigue. It's enjoyment.
Yeah. See, like, if you think of the moment itself, it's go on, I'll do it.
Intrigue, enjoyment.
Yeah.
Then when it's got in its concern.
Yeah. Can I get it back?
Yeah,
it's not.
Then it's panic. Then it's shock, and then eventually it's acceptance that they have to go to the doctor and just say, "Oh, I fell on it. I slipped and fell." Yeah. Anyway, you looking forward to the new football season?
Yeah, really excited about the new season, mate. No, but don't worry about that. Well, I feel a bit naked for a couple of reasons. One being, of course, I like to film the podcast from the waist down naked, so I am sort of half naked, as you know. I feel more comfortable that way. But more importantly, this is like an unplugged first podcast of the season as well. So I don't even want to say slugs, because if we're actually stripping back, are we still calling these people slugs? We've got to. It's too fat. It was their choice, wasn't it?
How they identify themselves.
Exactly. So for all the new people, we have a Patreon page. We do a mailbag every week if you want to get involved. We're actually doing this live right now, and the patrons are in the chat right now. And they chose...
How do they find us on Patreon?
There's a link in the description. Get involved.
Okay.
But the guys wanted a name for themselves and decided to call themselves Slugs. We had no part in it. Yeah, it wasn't our choice.
But
But you want to strip back the pod because generally with the podcast we have things called bits. Now these bits are things where you get involved in the comments and they develop over a season. But we had quite a few of them by the end of it, and to sort of bring in new sluggy wuggies, we need to refresh it
from scratch.
I
I feel like this is going to be a football podcast, this episode, right? And as it develops, and as Jaffin develops through the season, there will become bits that new slugs will be able to get involved in, because it was very cliquey by the end. It was so confusing. I was confused by the end of last season that I feel like we need a reset, like we say. So
I think it's a good idea.
A lot of new subscribers, Jim, and I want to be respectful of them. So yeah, this is a new start, season 3 of the Jaffin podcast. Been going for 3 years, wow. And
think of the waffle we've got through. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And look, if you're confused by any of it, just fine. Just go to the comments. Say I don't understand. And do you know what? The community is so lovely that they'll explain it. There's all kinds of stuff that you can figure out.
Yeah. I do feel naked though, because I haven't got a running order. So we're gonna have to talk about what we want to talk about, which is lovely.
I want to talk. You're a QPR fan. I want to talk about because you had a great preseason. You beat Manchester City Man United 4-2, was it?
4-2, yeah.
And you were thinking, QPR are going up, but all I see is, I don't know, mediocrity.
Yeah, stink of the table, don't we, at the moment after that 1-1 draw? Get him out. Get him out. Sign a 3-year deal. I don't care. Pay him off. Get Warburton out.
Yeah. Are you still quite hopeful about going up this season? How, or at least playoffs?
Sure, I am. I think we're lacking a little bit, but there's time. As you are fully aware of, the transfer window is not shut as of yet, and there are deals to be made. And I think there's going to be so many loan moves in the last week of the season because people don't really want to pay for anyone. Literally, it's amazing. Like in the Championship, there's I think there was like three transfers that cost some money, and that is it. So like everyone's going on free transfers. So there's a lot of people out of work who I think will get picked up, and I think we could get some decent loans in, which would help because we need a bit more going forward, I think. But something could literally, for the first time, and I mean it this time, something could happen. I think previously I'd be like, nah, it's not going to happen, but you never know.
I hope so for you, Jim. I really do, because I was having a chat. So I went up to Manchester yesterday for we're both involved in Sky Bet, so we can mention them, right?
Sure.
No problem. So I went up to Manchester basically I asked some questions to Gary Neville, Roy Keane, and Jamie Carragher as a part of a wider group, right? It wasn't just me sitting down. Unfortunately, that would have been fantastic.
Imagine that. I love the idea of that. You swan in, sit down, and there's three of the Roy Keane, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, just sort of nervous, like, hi, Flav. And you go,
I can imagine. Although me and Roy Keane shared a bit of a connection during one of the because basically the biggest thing. So I put out, I tweeted out and said I'm going up to ask Gary Neville some questions. Does anyone want to get anything off their chest? And we had more response in terms of questions that people wanted to get off their chest to Gary Neville from a tweet than I probably in the history of the Fighting Cock Twitter account. And a lot of people are really miffed with Gary Neville because of this interview he did with Harry Kane, right? Which is where Harry Kane first mooted that he wanted to leave Tottenham. And specifically, he said something that was really unprofessional, which was, I think £100 million would be enough for Tottenham. They would be happy with that. £100 million would be happy. And that's the biggest thing, right? Because a player should never, it's not their role to pick their value. The value is dependent on so many factors: length of contract, form, and the number of clubs that are interested, right? There's nothing to do with what you think you're worth. It's the club's valuation, because and it's not your valuation. It's the value of the contract that's left, and the difficulty that it would be for Tottenham, the impossible task in replacing Harry Kane, right?
Sure.
So I posed this question to Gary Neville, and I said I saw your interview, and he goes, "Did you like it?" And I said, "I hated it. There were many things wrong with your interview, Gary. The worst thing, though, was when you allowed, or Harry Kane was given the opportunity to value himself in a transfer market." And Roy Keane was like, "Yes, Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew you two were kindred spirits. I
love him.
I knew
I absolutely love him. But that wasn't the strangest thing of the day.
Why was he going? Yeah, is there more Roy Keane chat? Because I'd like to do more Roy Keane chat if possible.
Yeah, okay. Let's do the Roy Keane
let's do Roy Keane
chat. I've got something even better than that to tell you about.
Okay, amazing. Because people after last year as well, and we don't want to dive into our jokes, but Roy Keane was heavily utilised throughout the pod. So in terms of like the worlds colliding, because I think there are people that you just see on TV. And so when you see them, imagine seeing Roy Keane. I can't imagine seeing Roy Keane. Do you know what I mean? I can't imagine meeting Roy Keane. He doesn't exist in anything apart from a screen.
Panel, yeah.
Yeah. So
he was the most likable out of the three. Like he was genuinely.
He's softening, isn't he?
I think he always was, but I just think we've talked about this before with Sky Sports, and I think there's genuinely everyone has a role to play. Everyone they know why they're there and why they last. And Roy Keane, and he said this, and it was behind the curtain. He goes, I've actually got a really soft spot for Tottenham. And I know I say stuff on Sky Sports, but just say it for a laugh.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he said that. He said, I've got, and this is all going to be recorded on Gary Neville's channel, right? Or put out on Gary Neville's channel. Yeah, he said, I've had a soft spot for Spurs. I'm going to say stuff, but it's just for a laugh on Sky Sports. So
it's your jab.
Yeah, he said that. It's your jab. And it was just like it was good. And then he was really like when the fans were talking, it went on for ages, like 3.5 hours.
Really?
And, yeah,
so what? It was a Q&A, lots of sort of big names like yourself down there. Rory did message me at one point, going, "I've asked my question. I'm bored now." He said. Is that what it was like?
Yeah, and it was that. It was essentially that, and then the guy who was hosting was asking them some general questions like, who would be the surprise of the season? Who do you think will win the league? Who might challenge? That kind of thing. It was like obvious stuff, but the most interesting stuff came from the fans, and he was, all of them, to be fair, were really when the fans were talking, they would allow themselves to be interrupted. So there was moments where he was asking a question, the conversation, and whoever was a part of that conversation in terms of the fans would interrupt, and they would stop speaking and listen, it felt like.
So it was a debate.
If you're going to use supporters, you can't they're not just there to make up numbers, right? You've got to listen to them. Otherwise, there's no point being a part of it. And if it was like that, I wouldn't have done it again. But it wasn't. They were genuinely wanted, and they were getting dug out, and they were getting questioned, and it was getting put on them a little bit, especially Gary Neville. And they didn't shy away from anything. So it was good. It's a good bit of content, and it was a good thing, a bit of something to be involved with. And of all the three, like Roy Keane was really sort of backing most things that what the fans said, and every now and then someone would say something mental. Ty from Arsenal Fan TV was there, and that's what I want to talk about.
Okay, amazing.
So Ty was sitting next to Rory, and they started talking about Arsenal, and obviously.
Am I getting mixed up? Ty. Which one's Ty?
Geary has all the water bottles.
Oh God, sorry. I was thinking of the Robbie's right hand man. What's his name? Tao. Sorry. Yeah, fair enough, guys. Yeah.
And he was.
Did he have all his gear on?
Yeah, right. He did. He had all his gear on, right? So he was like head to toe in it, and
in August, indoors in August.
Right, so he was having this. So when they started talking about Arsenal falling away and not having a chance, Ty, obviously being him and the way he does it, was like defending Arsenal quite
vehemently,
impassioned. He was impassioned in his defence of Arsenal as well. Anyway, that's not what's interesting. What's interesting is that we had to get a cab back to Manchester Piccadilly, and obviously there were a lot of people hanging around.
Sure.
And Ty got in our cab. And he wasn't dressed in all that shit. He was just dressed normal. It was so weird. And I said to him, so this is a gimmick. It's like, this is a thing. It's a thing
you have other clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Because in my head, he just had a wardrobe full of just different tracksuits, different water bottles. Yeah, and that was what he wore all the time. But no, he's not as much. It's not as weird as I thought he was. And,
that is a shame, because I love I love the idea of that montage of dun 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 dun, 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 dun. Walks over to the wardrobe. It's all exactly the same. Then goes into his water bottle wardrobe, grabs his water bottle.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to break the illusion, but
No.
he's not. That isn't his entire life, although it is a large part of it. But yeah, it was weird having a normal conversation. I mean, it's all about football. Like obviously, all he wants to talk about is football. But
Yeah.
And he couldn't get his head round. He couldn't get his nut round the fact that I said that if Harry Kane leaves, it's not. It's whatever. Who cares?
Really? What do you mean he couldn't get his head around it?
But he's like, he's the best player. He's the best striker in the league. What do you mean you wouldn't be like? It's not that important.
I'm nearly 40.
He's 50. He's like 50 odd or something, or maybe late 40s. So it's not. He couldn't get his head around the fact that I'd be like, if Harry Kane leaves, he leaves. Is this a title? Could we use Harry Kane as a title? Have you talked about him on the?
Yeah, well, we haven't really spoken about Spurs, to be honest, that much. Are we done with the overlap? I just think it is good for getting behind the scenes on the overlap. That's a title probably for me.
They were all really, really sound, really like, that people are so emotional when they're talking about their football teams, aren't they?
Mm.
So
who was the most emotional?
Well, Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher were most impassioned when talking about their respective football clubs and being defensive, and they didn't mind having a go at Everton and Liverpool when they could, which was nice. It's kind of felt like it was entertaining to listen to. Roy Keane's just sort of reserved, and he got animated, but he doesn't.
There's a line, isn't there?
In the same way, I think. He just sees for all the bollocks, I reckon. But what was interesting is Adam McCullough, who's a big Man United fan, after we were talking about, I asked my questions about Harry Kane and whatnot, and the interview that Gary Neville did, Adam McCullough put it on Gary Neville about why doesn't he give the same energy to Harry Kane as he does Pogba, because they're similar situations. And Gary Neville came across as being Pogba's done it multiple times, and it was just like there was a discrepancy in the energy between the two. And I wanted to bring it up, but I was like, can't really. I've asked my questions. There's a time limit. Everyone wants to get it in. Adam McCullough just went straight. He's quite you know him from the kickoff, so he's full of opinions and stuff.
Yeah,
I just thought it was quite sound as a Man United fan, sort of looking at the hypocrisy in what Gary Neville and what's going on at United.
And yeah, good on Neville, I guess, to deal with those questions in that kind of forum as well, right?
You shy away from anything, to be fair.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, let's talk about Harry Kane, because we've spoken about it a few times on the mailbag. Because that was the one thing I was going to say. What's weird when you meet these people? I used to always think this with Robbie when we used to work with him a bit more with Arsenal Fan TV. Is he talks about Arsenal all day. And then everyone he talks to asks him about Arsenal all day. And I was always like, God, you just must be. And when there's such a strong news line on something and it goes on for quite a while, you will just be answering that question again and again, which leads me perfectly to the Harry Kane saga with you, because I know you're not really like that. But in the conversation we had a chat the other day, I didn't bring up Harry Kane. You brought him up, and I noticed it at the time. I remember thinking, oh, and the same with the mailbag, because I imagine like this saga is something that you have been circling around for what? 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's still got a couple of weeks left.
At least. I mean, it's gonna rumble on until
I think you're confident. I think you were, when we chatted about it on the mailbag. So, and we should talk about it again. The Charlie Kane element of this deal, because is he a Spurs fan?
No, he's a Harry Kane fan.
But is he a Spurs fan? Do you know what I mean?
No. I mean, I wouldn't have. I mean, yeah, probably because his brother's been playing for him for so long.
Right.
But no, he's a fan of his brother's, which I completely get. I understand that. He's his agent. He's going to want what's best for him, because what Harry Kane earns, Charlie Kane earns. You know what I mean? Not directly, but he'll take a fee, a percentage.
Sure.
So new contracts, a move away from the club is like that'll make Charlie Kane for life. One big deal to Manchester City would mean that Charlie Kane, who's, if you don't know, Harry Kane's brother and his agent, would mean he's set for life. His kids would probably be set for life. He'd make £10 million probably out of that deal, right? Yeah. And the cut of Harry Kane's wages at Manchester City, which are going to be 400,000. He's going to double his wages, right? Unbelievable, 400,000 a week. I can understand the attraction for Charlie Kane and Harry Kane. There's multiple reasons why they would want to leave Tottenham.
Yeah, of course
there are. Yeah, there's not. I'm not stupid. I don't sort of look at Harry Kane going, how can you do this? He's going to go there. He's going to win the Champions League, or maybe because Messi's now. I mean, PSG are going to be hard to beat. That forward line is disgusting. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Probably never will again. Pretty grim. But he's definitely going to go there and win the league and probably win a cup, at least a cup double. If they do anything less than that,
they win 2 a year, don't they? These days.
Anyway, so with Grealish and Kane, they can't. Like the league is done and dusted, even before it even starts.
But the question is, Flav. Sorry, go on. Finish your point.
No. Just I can understand. Where Harry Kane's coming from.
But right, of course, I don't think that's up for debate. Really, I think though. I think the.
I think you're.
Okay. Well, what's the caveat quickly?
Well, the caveat is just it means nothing, doesn't it? Going to Manchester City, you can be a legend at a football club, or you can be a footnote in Manchester City's history, and it's about what's important to you. You know, Totti is going to be regarded for so many reasons an absolute legend. Not just Roma outside. The respect for Totti far outweighs the respect for. I can't think of a player because I don't know Italian football that well, but say. Balotelli going to Man City and winning the league. If it, you know, it's just
you're just another one, aren't you?
You're just another one. You're just another piece in the puzzle. Like Grealish going to City and winning thing means nothing now. It means nothing. You've gone to the richest club who have the biggest infrastructure, who win every year anyway. They won last year without you. What are they going to do? They'll probably win it next year with you. And like I say, you're a footnote. You're one part of a wider conversation, whereas to be lead a football club and then eventually win something or not, I think, from my perspective, because it suits my agenda, I think that I would prefer to do that anyway.
Do you know what though? That's interesting. That's an interesting road to go down though, just because the thought of. Because I think all those debates about the word legacy, which generally makes me vomit. But legacy within football and like who's better and all these things, it's definitely kind of seeped its way into everyone's thinking now. But with that what you were saying there, in terms of how important it is what others think of you, it's both important and completely unimportant, if you know what I mean.
Depends what's important to you specifically.
Yeah, because like you say, he's a footnote. He's a footnote if he goes to Man City, but he also gets to tick the boxes, experience the Champions League, win if it happens, league title win. He kind of ticks those off the list. So because that's the debate for me is what's more important. Do you need ticking it off the list, or do you just need to sleep at night a little bit more? Do you know what I mean?
I think. Yeah, I mean, this fundamentally, as fans, we can never understand what it's like for Harry Kane or Jack Grealish, right? We don't understand, and they can never understand how we feel. They might they get an inkling, they know that you want them to stay because they're brilliant, but fundamentally, they're not fans of the club like we're fans of our clubs. They're not. With Jack Grealish. I understood again, we understood why he went to Manchester City. I understand it. Of course, they're Manchester City. Yeah. But don't do all the shit about I love Aston Villa. Oh, I looked at that Messi interview when Messi press conference and he was crying, and that's how I felt. Bollocks. First off, you didn't cry. So you can't just latch on to Messi's tears. Secondly, if you genuinely felt that way, like Messi didn't want to leave Barcelona. He didn't want to leave. They were essentially asking him to play for free, which is unacceptable. Jack Grealish could have stayed at Aston Villa. He signed a contract last year. And as we find it, the only reason he signed that contract was to get the clause in there, right? So don't do that. Don't insult the Villa fan base and football fans across the board by trying to save face because you've just become a glory hunter. Yeah. You're grabbing the money. Do
you think he was watching? Do you think he was watching the press conference going, "Oh fuck, he's cried"?
Yeah, fuck it, man. I should have done that. I should have done the tears and that, but he couldn't have done because he doesn't.
Oh, he's cried.
I should have cried.
I should have.
It would have been.
He didn't get the press conference though, did he? That's the problem. That's the thing. Do you think Grealish was going? Can I get any chance I could get a? No, I've got a press conference with Man City at 1. But is there any way I could just quickly do one? And he's like really emotional with it as well because he doesn't really want to cry, but he's sort of got himself. You know, when you're like attempting to cry, he's like, quickly, we need to go. We need to do this quickly. Just get a camera on me so I can cry. Oh dear.
But he's not going to cry because all he feels is excitement and he's gratified himself, self gratification. That's what his main feeling is. He's excited about the adventure he's going on and all the money he's going to make, which is fine. Just don't talk bollocks. Is all.
It's tough to own it, isn't it? It's like because you've got. That's the problem. Is though every club you're at, you go down that road of. I love the club. I love the club. There was I saw it on. I was watching the highlights of the EFL, and there was one. I can't remember the team, but it was someone who was on loan. I want to say at Mansfield or something, and it was their first game on loan. First game, scored a goal, ran off kissing the badge. I was like, wait, whoa, Tiger, hold that back. Yeah. I think that how many games do you? That's the thing. People, I don't know. Like when's it okay to kiss the badge these days? You know.
I mean, I guess like if you've done something for the football club, like if Sonny, he's just signed a new contract and said that his words were, "I owe a lot to Tottenham. They gave me a great opportunity, and I feel like it's time to repay him." And he signed a new contract. Then he kisses the badge. You're like, yeah, fair enough. But and Harry Kane can. It doesn't even really matter. There's just something that plays up to the fans. And like I've mentioned, if Kane scores a brace against Kane scores a brace against City and stays, you're like, well, we can forget about all this commotion for until January or something.
Yeah.
The thing is I've already accepted that he's going. He may not go, or it's very difficult for him to go in the summer still. I don't understand why he hasn't put in a transfer request. Like I know that he's going to lose a lot of money if he does, but it shouldn't be up to us if he wants to leave to pay him the loyalty.
Why does he lose? Why does he lose money?
You get like a loyalty bonus. If you've sold without requesting to leave, then you get paid a bonus based on the percentage of years left on your contract and how much wages you are.
I bet that gets made up by Man City, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, of course it does. Of course it does, but it makes the whole deal much more expensive. And can Man City spend £100 million on Grealish, and I think they're going to have to pay. I think they're going to have to pay 160, 175.
Really?
I think they have to, don't they? I mean, what can we can't replace him, so we need loads of money. It's not like there's no Spurs fans under any illusion that we are going to be able to replace what Harry Kane has given us by having loads of money. But because of that, we need loads of money. So it's just one of those things. You can't, like Stephen McInerney made a point about when we was at his thing yesterday. He's like, well, he wants to leave, so you have to let him leave. No, you make it as difficult for everyone as possible. Of course it's there now.
Yeah. Apart from that loss of money for that loyalty thing, I find it really strange that he hasn't gone further with it because it's so known. Like, going back to that overlap interview, he's made it very clear. It
seems like he wants to save face. He doesn't want to hand it, but it's too late. You've already damaged your reputation. Like, for me, it doesn't matter what he's done in the past. This is what I'm going to remember him for. Like
Here's a question for you.
Like Modric.
Exact same situation, right? Exact same situation. The club has the same money in terms of Man City. All of the things are exactly the same. But the club's called Real Madrid. Is this very different?
Easier to swallow because he's not going to be playing against you. And, he's always going to... Yeah, it's easier to swallow because I don't give a shit about Real Madrid, but I do give a shit about financially doped football club.
Yeah, because at least they're out for two reasons, I guess. At least they're out of the way is one, and secondly,
160 million that other people don't have.
Yeah, yes, of course, but that's the same with Man City as well. I think the other thing is the thing I think I'm wrestling with is with Man City and the PSG situation is it's like. it's like, well, he's had 2 servings already. Why is he getting more cake? I haven't had any cake, and no one's got any cake. So why is this Man City kid getting 3 slices of cake at my birthday party? That's like it's so gluttonous. That's where I'm at with the PSG thing. Like it's probably the worst video I've ever done on my channel, because I literally said in the video, I just feel blur. Like, what is this? And that's weird, isn't it? Because we talk about dream teams and, like, you know, the glamour of the big players and wow, them playing together and taking it to this new level. But I've no feeling towards that signing and that club, and that's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the indifference is an indifference, isn't it?
Massively.
And should be an indifference to Kane and Grealish, and any success that Man City has should be met with indifference. Like, Sky Sports will build it up because it helps their brand.
Yeah, and you have to go with the top line that's available to you.
As a news outlet and media outlet, 100%. But it doesn't, bringing in the best manager in the world who's best equipped to deal with all these superstars and these massive football clubs, and then just spending their way to the success is the best way of gaining success. But it's also what Leicester did. I think we talked about this. What Leicester did by winning far outweighs any number of trophies that Manchester City could ever win. What Leicester City did was far more glorious than any title or any trophy or any bit of success that Manchester City could do, because it harked back to when football wasn't all about money.
That long-term glow, isn't it? That's the difference. But I've had
no Man City fan or fan of any club could ever dig Leicester City out, because they've done something that no other club could ever do. They've done something. They will always have that, Leicester. They are the club that did something that no other club could do, and it's an amazing thing. And when you think back of the best wins in Premier League history and the best team in Premier League history based on what they achieved, Leicester City hands down.
You've definitely not said that in the past. You've definitely said the complete opposite to that in the past.
I fucking hate Leicester. I hate them.
Yeah, I know you do. I just saw this because we were talking about like loyalty, and then you spoke about Totti. I just thought I'd say this. I just thought it was quite interesting. He went, so Totti, when asked why he refused Real Madrid offer, you can't see this, but I'll read it out to you, mate. Yeah, Totti, when asked about that's why he refused the Real Madrid offer in 2006. They taught us at school that family is the most important thing for a human. Roma is my family. Have you ever heard of someone who left his poor parents to live with rich strangers? And here's another one. God, I could go through these all day. He says, I cheated on all of my girlfriends. I cheated on all my girlfriends with each other. With each other. But I never cheated on Roma, and I never will. And somehow he's a god.
Yeah, but there's
so funny.
They're talking about the personal life. I know, I get it. It's yeah. Look, there'd be no other player like him, because he could have gone wherever he wanted. He was that good, and he didn't, and he'll be a legend forever. But Harry Kane will be talked about as our best striker ever, but there'd always be a caveat.
Yeah, if only, right?
You know what is pissing me off is people going, you should be grateful. You should be grateful for everything he's done. You look back at the good times and just think about that. Imagine saying that about your wife. You having a great marriage, and then the bloke down the road who drives a Ferrari, has a bigger house, has more money, can take her on holiday, give her all the things you can't, and she leaves because of that. Do you go back, but at least we had a good marriage. Go on, good luck. No, you don't. You hate her.
Man, that's it. If you break down this relationship and turn it into a marriage, you're right. So Champions League football is like, that's Champions League football is like, I've got a yacht and we can go there whenever you want, isn't it? Yeah. Like trophies is like clothing, and watch it. You can shop whenever you want and you get whatever you want. But the Harry Kane not giving a transfer request within a marriage is going, he just keeps going to his wife. Pointing. I'm gonna. Can I? Is it all right if I just? And the wife's like, well, no. Actually, you signed a deal. You know, I've got a ring on your hand. I mean, well, yeah, I've got a ring on my hand, but can I? I mean, if they put in a,
yeah. They show their, if she shows me her breasts and says that you can have a go on these for 6 years, and look at your breasts, they're smaller. So obviously, I want to go to big breast, don't I?
That's it. Yeah, the interview with Harry Kane in the interview with Gary Neville now is like, well, on the walk down the fairway. Well, look, we've had some great times with Sharon, but look, if someone comes along and they've got bigger boobs, I think I should be able to talk to them.
Okay, can I? And you're supposed to just go, well, she has got bigger boobs. Go on then, crack on. Yeah, it doesn't. That's fundamentally what it's about. And we just got to crack on. There's loads of really good, successful teams that don't have Harry Kane.
Well, and weirdly, if they don't get Harry Kane, because I think that's the thing that you can hold on to, is the fact that, how amazing is it that Spurs are playing Man City this weekend? You could write it, but it's amazing that you guys go up against each other first up. But if Kane doesn't move in essentially a World Cup year, but I guess it's in the winter, he's not gonna. He'll play for you. Like the fact that he's a model professional is kind of hurting him a little bit, because if he's Diego Costa and he goes and he's sipping caipirinhas on a beach, Daniel Levy goes, oh, well, I best get what I can now.
Yeah, no, he's not going to do that. And this whole situation, I imagine, has been engineered by people that shouldn't be in the position to influence him, i.e. his brother. Like, if this is a plan that the Kane family have come up with when he's got 3 years left in his contract because some sort of gentleman's agreement.
Makes me laugh, the gentleman's agreement. What are you doing, Charlie? What are you doing? Harry Kane picks up the phone saying, I can go because I left you in there. I had to go to training, didn't I? And I said to him, make sure you get in that clause where I can go if they're not in the Champions League. And you said it was sorted. It was sorted, yes. Right? Yeah. Got an agreement. What kind of agreement, Charlie? What kind of agreement?
And the thing is, it's not. They signed the contract, so now they're pissed off that Spurs have the leverage. You gave us the leverage when you took all the money. Don't take all the money. Don't give your brother, who is not a qualified agent, is not qualified to deal with a businessman like Daniel Levy, that should not exist in that world. Get yourself a proper agent, and you wouldn't be in this fucking position. But anyway, look, whatever. You keep the money in the family, all that shit. Yeah, man, it is what it is. Like if he comes back, he will play for us next season if he's there, because he's not going to not because of the World Cup, and he's not. Despite all the things I've said, he would be professional, and he'd want to, wouldn't want to taint his legacy in that way. Mm. But either it's this season or next season he's going. It seems like my gut feeling right now is that Man City will stump up the money.
You think they'll get 170?
Maybe not that. Maybe 150.
I'm so confused with FFP now. Like, where is this?
Oh, they paused it because of coronavirus. So they're allowed. They're not going to earn as much, so they're allowed to kind of speculate a little bit. But it's nonsense. It's like how. Actually, I was thinking about the Messi deal. Mm. It's not that expensive if you think about it. He's been paid 30 million euros a year. There's no transfer fee. It's 60 million pounds over 2 years. That's like buying a player for 75 million and paying them a quarter of his wages. So it isn't that mental, the PSG one. But to Grealish must be on 200 grand a week. Kane must be coming on at 400. Plus spending 260 million. I can't see how they can continue to do this stuff. They've already been caught twice. At some stage, UEFA have got to go, right, come on, lads.
Yeah.
Do us a favour.
I'm trying to help me. It's like Jerry Maguire, isn't it? Help me help you. Help me help you.
It may be they're going to sell. Like they've got a lot of talent that they can get rid of. That are on the peripheries that they could probably make up enough to stay in. But they have to sell like Jesus and Laporte or some players.
Yeah, because the problem with it as well, like the pausing of FFP, is that you then have to reset it. So you then have to go, oh, okay, now you've got 3 years to get yourself in order again. So it just carries on for like forever. I do think we'll get there, because I think now finally it's pulling into focus. It feels like it's pulling into focus for me that like it is so clear that PSG and Man City are the only clubs. I mean, Chelsea maybe, and fortunately we have a Premier League product that is incredibly strong and incredibly financially strong, and that's only because I said this in a video, because they're sort of, although they weren't maybe the initial idea of what the Premier League was supposed to be, there's a problem there. But in terms of having at least safeguarding the 20 Premier League clubs, it's gone. The needle's gone so far that they're actually in an okay position. That a lot of these teams have still got a decent amount of money, but PSG and Man City are. It is so clear this season that I don't think that can survive. I think things will be put in place where there is. We've all kind of gone around this idea of like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, they have got lots of money, but there's FFP knocking about, so it's not that bad. It is really pulling into focus now, and I think that there will have to be an element of pushback. Like this isn't sustainable. Like it will get ridiculous. It will get absolutely ridiculous.
There needs to be some pushback, because if not, there are no parameters that were in place to stop City buying their way to the trophy every single year.
And I think what's being seen is that there's a real understanding now that competition is everything. Competition is everything, and that's why you're seeing in the EFL fans flooding back and loving it, because yes, it's not the Premier League, but it's competition and it matters, and so that's the same with. That will be the same. Also, there are cycles, of course. I think what's probably more concerning is that PSG and Man City, it feels like Celtic and Rangers. It feels like Celtic and Rangers in the sort of noughties, probably it was before, but for me it was the noughties, where they were just like, oh, he's good. He scored 20 goals for Dundee. I'll have him. He's good. He was a decent goalkeeper for Motherwell. I'll take him, and that was it again and again. And you see the same with the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich as well. So it's of course not just those two, but I just think it's in terms of it being about stumping cash and the just ginormous numbers involved. I think it just feels a lot more difficult to swallow and just not acceptable, I guess.
It's like a bit like porn, isn't it? Because it's like when you get bored of like the high quality sort of brazzers sort of studios who've got all the money. After a while, you need like, oh God, it's not doing it for me. It's too polished. I need to see some other stuff. I need to see some realness. I want to see what real sex like again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Where's the heart? Where's the heart in this? I often say that to myself.
Click on amateur category for a bit, and just add a little bit, like just something genuine.
Yeah.
This is what it used to be like before, all the glitz and glamour of brazzers.
Great point.
Like, I remember football was like finding a porn mag down in a shrub next to a railway siding. That's the football I remember. Not this HD 4K on tap nonsense.
That's the world you want to live in. Do you know what I mean?
I just want to be real. I just want things to be real. I want a real competition.
Yeah.
I want
everyone you don't want to see the same two sets of genitals, faces. You want that variety at the top.
Because the lighting and the camera is so good that there are no differentials between scenes. It's just the same thing over and over again. Like, so, with amateur, you don't know what's going on. Could be an iPhone, could be an old Nokia, could be a Canon 5D. You just don't know. It's a lottery and it's exciting.
Do you know? I'm doing my League of 72 stream later today. You guys watching this right now, by the way, you're watching this on Friday, so you can go and watch that whole stream. But there's something that I'm going to confide in the patrons who can go and check out that stream. But it's an absolute joy watching the highlights on Quest because the commentators, it is pun city. It is brilliant. Now, Doncaster Rovers are taking on Sheffield Wednesday this weekend. Big Yorkshire derby, of course. As you know, Darren Moore going back to his former club. But what I can't get out of my head, and I won't say it in this stream, and I'll try my best not to laugh, but whilst I was watching the highlights, Doncaster played AFC Wimbledon, and the commentator said after the Doncaster player scored, Doncaster player who scored was called Semen. Now, the commentator then goes, and no one, and what's got to be such a joy for these commentators is these clips are in isolation. There's no comment section. There's no rebuttal. There's no, you don't come straight back to. There's another goal coming up. It's there. You just enjoy it for what it is, and you move on, whatever that pun may be, right? So Semen scores, and the commentator goes, and to this day I don't know if she's joking or not, if she meant it or not. Maybe she didn't, but she said a lovely finish by Semen. And I laughed out loud watching it on Monday morning. And I was thinking, huh?
What was she supposed to say?
I don't know, slotted home by Semen, goal by Semen, lovely finish by Semen. And
from Semen, that would have been good.
Yeah, and it just made me laugh. And I'm going to struggle later on today. But yeah, you were speaking about porn, so I thought I'd chuck in that word. As we're unplugged, we can talk about anything we want. Spurs Man City. I think we've spoken enough about Spurs. How are you feeling about? Because I think by the end of last time some people would have seen you on the channel, they were going, "This guy's struggling here. This guy's sick of football." So going into this season, I'm hoping to get 2 months out of you before you turn. But is there any element of excitement, and what are your broad thoughts on the start of the season?
Well, it's not. I'm not like excited because the first game's against Man City, right? And there's that narrative, and it'd be exhausting going into it, like as a fan. But generally, it's amazing what a difference a changing manager can make. Because while I'm sure there's limitations to Nuno Espirito Santo, right? I'm sure that he probably, we should have maybe aimed above him, right? I don't know. I'm happy with him, but when you listen to his interviews, you're like, oh God, he's not going to dig out all our players after every game. And
he's so different, isn't he, in terms of his post-match?
Yeah, and just I don't want to talk about Spurs again, but I'm just saying, like, if you have a manager that you kind of like, it makes such a big difference. Like, and I know that because the difference between Pochettino's Tottenham and Mourinho's, even in the worst parts and the best parts, I'd much rather have experienced that with Pochettino than I did with Jose Mourinho, because he is poison. And we were warned. But again, I don't want to talk about Spurs, but we were warned. And I was
that
like,
that said, I think
she will cheat on you. She won't. She loves me. I'm different. Our relationship's different. It's what happened to you won't happen to us.
Yeah.
And
I can change him. I can change him. No, he's learnt from his mistakes.
Only difference is he didn't win a trophy with us. So I feel much lighter. That's the correct expression. Lighter going into it. And we've signed a really good centre back in Romero. And if we can get a couple more over the line, I think it's a really nice position to be under the radar as well. Whereas the expectation was so high with Jose Mourinho that every defeat felt like an absolute failure. Now it's like, well, no one expects us to finish top 4. People probably predict, if you have to do a prediction. I saw someone told me about a Wolves fan doing a top 10. They had Spurs 10th, below West Ham, Wolves, Arsenal. And so my point is, there's no expectation, there's no pressure. It feels like the beginning of a new bit, a reset. And so I feel good, and I'm looking forward to watching some good football, because he has been playing really nice football in pre-season. So
I'm just going to show you the league table so you can see all the teams. Does this annoy you, that Arsenal start every season top of the league?
A bit, even though I know it's just alphabetical, but I preferred it when Bournemouth were in.
That could be our first bit of this season. let us know in the comments. And I don't think I've made this clear for anyone who's still watching and is new. Basically, the running order every single week comes from you guys, comes from the comments down below. We have all sorts of stuff. And actually, probably one question to say to you guys is, are there any bits that must return? Because, of course, the running order in the comments are from you. But first bit from me then is something that is like, that. I know it's just, essentially it's pet hates. But there's no logic behind you getting annoyed at that, really, is there? Arsenal, it's just the alphabet. It's the alphabet. It's the alphabet.
Yeah.
Well, seeing them top's got to wind you up, isn't it?
Arsenal's, that mentality, they're sort of, their entitled mentality of Arsenal fans
starts with that.
Starts with that.
Yeah.
Because throughout the summer, they're...
Mate, you are onto something there. Because look, you can't see it, damn. But the start of every season, QPR are lower mid-table because it's a Q. So I'm always like, well, you never know. I mean, we're starting at a difficult position, but fingers crossed we can make our way up the league. Yeah. Well, Catherine's in the chat. As an Aston Villa fan, does that play any part? The fact that you're second in the season every year? I mean, it's a great starting point. What
I do want to return is quotes of the week and comment of the week. Those are always great fun.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Whatever quote you hear from this podcast you think is worth noting, then put it in the comments. And if people like it, they can upvote it and then it'll appear on next week's pod. And best bit, though, is people's comments. And we pick the ones that get most upvoted in the comments below. Again, talk about. And there may be some quandaries, maybe some questions you want us to answer. Whatever they may be, put them in the comments below. Because as James said, this is how we populate this running order. All of it is about you, the viewer, and what you have to say. And as the show rolls on through the summer, and all the OGs, the old slugs, and the moist slugs will know that as the season rolls on, it becomes more about you guys producing the show and us just talking rather than us.
That's true. It's because I do love, and I've had this. This week, I want to give him a shout. Actually, I just want to make sure I've got his name right because I think I've got the right name. Yeah, Alex Purdy. Alex Purdy sorted me out this week because I needed an editor for a one to watch video, and I don't know if you've found this, but so someone put me in touch with Alex, and Alex.
I know Alex.
Oh, do you?
Alex.
90 min.
Yeah, I know Alex. So.
Okay, great. So Boovy told me about Alex, and I was like, could I maybe get Alex to sort me out? And I went, hi Alex, I really need an editor. Maybe you can help me. And he went, I'd love to. I'm a slug. And I was like, I've had that so many emails now. And it never gets less weird. Yeah. Like, just so you know, I'm a slug.
And sometimes you go even more meta. They go, I'm moisty.
Yeah.
I'm a moisty.
Well, someone said earlier in the chat, we should call the patrons Slugscribers, which I think is quite good.
Slugscribers, that's good.
Very good. Yeah, that's true, actually. He did say, he actually was very specific. He went, a dry slug, but a slug all the same, which is fine. So I think a few, yeah, you're right. Jim's Big Laugh Award, which is best quotes from last week. We'll definitely have that in again. Flame's advice is always a good one. That's been there from the start, so we might need to have that in there. But apart from that, I'm open. We've got a skeleton script as it is, but it will be populated by ourselves.
Can I ask you a question, Jim? And there's one that would be levied at me. But if you didn't have to watch one team in the Premier League, you just imagine they didn't exist, but they're just there to fill up numbers. You just don't acknowledge them. You didn't have to say a word about them for the entire season. Which team, if you had to choose one, which team in the Premier League would it be?
If I didn't have to talk about one team.
Yeah, you don't have to acknowledge them. It's like they don't exist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there are two teams that let's be honest, and people will be angry about this, and it's not how I feel because I know how that feels to be irrelevant. But generally in the Premier League, there are two teams that people forget. And so a lot of people, you can guess in the chat if you want to, a lot of people will think that those two teams one of them would be Burnley. Now, it's not Burnley.
Burnley always get talked about.
Because Burnley always get talked about, exactly. Because Burnley there are certain teams in certain divisions that you go, and I always think, God, what a kick in the teeth. When you go, so when teams like get relegated, fans go, it's just the fact that we were going to Old Trafford, we were going to the Emirates. Now we're going to be playing Luton. We're going to be playing Crewe. We've got to play Grimsby now. Ugh. You've got to go to these places, which is like, again, these places have wonderful charm and it's not fair, but people's minds go places. Now, and with the Premier League, used to be Stoke. Stoke was that was the team. Burnley are the team now that people talk about. Yeah.
They've always got the narrative around them. They've got that sort of defensive, sort of backs against the walls. We still survive. We always get written off every year.
Yeah.
There's that narrative around them, and they will be talked about towards the end.
But that's what, exactly. That's why they are talked about. So because the problem is, you need something to make yourselves spoken about. There are two teams that everyone forgets, and we did this very briefly on the Premier League. We did a couple of shows, and I had an idea, and I think we tried to do it on the podcast. An idea of, you've got 30 seconds to name every Premier League team. Every Premier League, that should be easy. And it was the same 4 or 5 that they used to get wrong every single team. And this is class. Because, look, so Arsenal, Big Six, Villa made big signings, promoted. That's the other thing as well. If you're a promoted team, you will be discussed, certainly early on as well.
You get a buy from this conversation, 100%.
Exactly. So,
can I chuck in some... Oh, well, I'll tell you who will get talked about this year. Palace. If they still had Hodgson, then hands down, that would be the team to forget.
Yeah.
But they've got Vieira. People are going to be interested. What will he do?
Oh, do you think? Because you might
if he
be
does
right.
poorly, is how quickly is Vieira going to get sacked? So that's
true.
The storylines around that.
Oh, let's do that. Let's play that game. Storyline for every team. So,
okay.
Because I think that this is the problem for Barcelona this year. Is anything that goes wrong, where's Messi? Messi was here. So, and we've seen it,
right.
and it's always right. Remember all this, guys, because we can clip this up down the road. What will happen for all these teams?
Let's start from the top then. Arsenal. What's going to be the narrative around them?
Well, I think they'll do quite well this year.
They're one of the ones to forget, I think. They're the ones, I know, bizarrely. I think they like mid-table, they'll be all right.
They've still got those fans, and they'll still be driven by... That Arsenal fan TV rants will return, and that will always get clicks.
But the narrative is Arteta good enough, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
The negative one is that, yeah. I mean, I think people will want to give them a bit more of a chance, because I think we've had so much woe. But I think Arsenal, the worst case with Arsenal is, will they get relegated? If it goes wrong early doors, it would be that. Will they get relegated? That's the worst you can get.
So Villa's is can they cope without Grealish, but have the players they've brought in replaced? Because that's one of the things their chairman said, is we have signed players that should compensate for the fact that Grealish isn't going to be there.
That's true.
My friend is naive.
I disagree.
We'll take it from a man who watched his team sign 7 players to replace the abilities of 1, and it went absolutely tits up. But they have signed really well, Villa.
Yeah, they have signed well.
What about Brentford?
It will take a minute though. Brentford, plucky little Brentford. So this is the one we used to have on Great Touch for a Big Lad. We used to have this. We used to do. It was Bournemouth. We used to do Bournemouth, and what was good, there was a Bournemouth fan who used to watch the pod, and bless him, he got the joke and he kind of went with it. And it was Brentford were like, oh bless him, bless him, barely, they're struggling, little Brentford, barely just gasping for air like a little budgie, we're trying our best, we're going to give everything. I hope they stay up. I do hope they stay up. You'll have so many people going, I hope they stay up, but because it's tiny little Brentford. But they probably won't.
They have made 4 signings, all free transfers.
Yeah, which is the same for a lot of people. They've done. Oh no, they signed Aja, who was like 12 mil from Celtic. He's supposed to be quite good.
Oh right, sorry, I'm looking at transfer. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Sorry, my bad. I'm looking at the wrong time.
Brighton, Potter. What genius! What manager needs a big job. That'll be their one. So Burnley, it's just tough. Gravel, tough to beat.
They're doing the same method, just very quickly. They've signed Celtic, that centre-back from Celtic, and then it's Midtjylland, FC
Feeder Club now.
And Chelsea.
Wisser, they've just signed a guy called Wisser. Apparently he's quite good as well. But, mate, beware of that. Beware of Brentford signing players you've got no idea who they are. They turn out to be great. Always happens. Always happens. Leicester will finish 5th because... Oh, sorry, I've gone too far. Chelsea, I mean, the only thing... They should win. They should be right up there. I'll put them up to win the league if they don't get Kane. If Man City don't get Kane. With them, it will be... The turn will be on Tuchel. Tuchel, like, not able to manage the personalities. That's what it'll be.
Isn't it exciting enough? But they've again, another club. We just spoke.
Palace, too young. Vieira's useless. Everton, Benitez, he's not one of us. He's not one of us. Leeds United, it's too hectic. Second season syndrome. Yeah, great video on my channel right now if you want to wear. But Leicester City, bottle jobs. Big fat hairy bottle jobs because they finished 5th, but only because the other guys have spent so much. Liverpool.
They've well, Leicester. They've bought some good players again.
They have. Liverpool. Klopp's just run them into the ground, haven't they? Klopp has just run them into the ground,
isn't it? Because they've got their defence back and. Their front line is comparable. Jota seems going to be the man to lead the line now, you'd imagine. But there are sort of issues there, and it'd be interesting to see what happens with Liverpool. And their performance this season, unfortunately for them, dependent on how good they are, but how good City and Chelsea are. Because you remember when Liverpool were defending their title, you thought, well, this is in Liverpool's hands. We already can see they can beat everybody else.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Is Van Dijk going to come back the same player? There's a lot of interesting stuff around Liverpool, but it must be frustrating for them because it's just out of their hands, really.
The start of the season for up until November, I need to be convinced up until November. If they're not having injuries, if they're back to what they were, then why not? Because they were like impenetrable, weren't they? A year ago.
Did you see the Robertson injury?
Is it bad?
I don't know how bad. It looked bad. It looked like the kind of thing that Harry Kane would do to his ankles. The ball hit him and he sort of landed awkwardly. It's either a sprain or it might be a little fracture. I'm not sure, but
Man City is the and I told you about this on TalkSport. They went if Man City don't win the Champions League, is it a disappointing season? They would have won. They won everything else, I think, didn't they last year? I can't even remember. I can't even remember.
I mean, if they sign Kane and Grealish,
they have to
win. The whole point is to win the Champions League. They could win the league probably without Kane. So,
yeah, they've got to be still favourites to win the league for sure. But yeah, anything above perfection, and it's like it's not good enough, is it? You spend that kind of money. Man United, it's still Ollie. It's still Ollie's the problem. Ollie's not up to it. Newcastle, it'll be interesting to see if they get taken over before January, because if they do, then they'll be absolutely fine. But it'll be Mike Ashley. Norwich.
I think Newcastle going down.
Yeah, I put them down.
No, Ross going down. Southampton.
I did as well. So to answer your question, by the way, the two invisible clubs are Crystal Palace and Southampton. But if there was one,
sure. Yeah.
If it was one, it's Southampton. Sadly, they are invisible.
I think Wolves are going to struggle as well.
Wolves are quite invisible actually, because they've lost the newly promoted. Wow, this is incredible tag. So they're a little bit. They're becoming invisible.
They need a new identity as well, don't they now?
They do. Spursy. Watford are somewhat invisible, but they're newly promoted, which gets them out of it. West Ham, can they do it? Well, with European football, that's the question. And yeah, Wolves are invisible. You know, this will piss off some fans. I know, but
a horrible transfer window, wouldn't they?
They got Trincao. I think they'll be mid-table.
Southampton. They've had a horrible transfer window. Lost Ings, lost Vestergaard.
Yeah, it's Armstrong. Armstrong might do well. Oh, by the way, we've got a FPL league, links in the description. I know Flav's not bothered, but you guys might be. And Adam Armstrong, he could do well.
Where did he come from? Birmingham, Blackburn.
Well done.
So was he been lighting up the championship?
Just a bit, yeah. He I think he was second top goal scorer after Tony. Lovely movement. Loves a little zigzag movement.
It's underwhelming name, isn't it? That's the problem. Ivan Toney sounds sexy, whereas Adam Armstrong sounds like, oh, got on board.
Yeah. Possible nickname of Double A though, which
the AA.
If he
for a rescue, very good.
Nice. I was thinking batteries, so well done you. All right, my friend.
All right.
We're back. That was a lot of football chat. Lots of football chat.
Be that way. Look, it's up to you. What do you want us to talk about? What bits do you want to bring in?
That's it. It's glorious to be back. If you want to ask us any questions, and we will literally answer any of them, and I really enjoy our mailbags on Patreon. They're really, really good because it gets deep, and we reveal, don't we? We reveal a lot more. I find.
Well, it's a lot less.
Less people. You think you can get away with it, but of course people could clip it up and ruin our
the overlap
careers.
is uploaded.
Interesting. So if you do want to become a patron, I think it's £4. Or if you're an absolute legend like some of these nutcases, it's a tenner. But just to be clear, you guys don't need to do that, but you're just too kind. But that's the slug life we're living. Right, we will be back next week with bits. Get involved in the comments. Let us know your thoughts, for ideas, for bits, everything in between. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button as well, and we'll see you next time.